Every day, the world gets a little weirder and a lot more awesome. Cool Stuff Daily takes a look at everything from mining in space to the latest in the fight against cancer to how AI is, basically changing everything. It's all the cool stuff you didn't know you needed to know. Join us for Cool Stuff Daily as we take a quick look at science, tech, and the wait, what stories that make you sound way smarter at dinner. Subscribe to Cool Stuff Daily now, because the future's happening fast, and it's way too fun to miss.
More sail, cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
All right, here we go. Let's get that set up over there.
Welcome, everybody. Let's get these wires all sorted. There we go. I think we're looking pretty good. Well, question is, what do you do when your flight gets canceled for the second day in a row, flying out of your regional airport up in northern Michigan, and you actually end up having to push back because before you rebook, you check the weather forecast? Well, that's what happened to old Jerome. I was supposed to fly out Wednesday, and it is Thursday, and I'm probably not going to fly out until Saturday, fingers crossed. Basically in between the winter storm that's coming starting tonight, and then the actual real deal winter storm that is coming, I guess starting Sunday, something like that. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we might get like 3 more feet. Just one more, quick dusting up here. So cheers, everybody. Oh, Lord. So what do you do? That's the question. Do you get irate? Today I was up at the airport. Yesterday, luckily, they let me know long beforehand, so I didn't even make it to the airport. Didn't waste any time. Today I made it to the airport. Had everything locked down, ready to go. Refrigerator emptied. Everything is just woo, which is kind of nice, at least everything's sorted. I'm not even going to really unpack, but yeah, the idea of getting irate at an airport towards someone who has no say in the decision making, i.e. the person at the counter. So I just, went in and checked in, and then once they delayed the flight and I knew that there was no way I was going to make my connections, yeah, I just politely went up, grabbed my bags, and it is, side note, it's definitely a good idea to always have that travel insurance. I just, buy these things on the app, the plane tickets, that is, and, that allows me to just swap and good to go and no big deal and all that sort of stuff, so you don't even have to worry about it, which, I mean, come on. In today's air travel, it's so unpredictable. It's well worth it. I used to fly by the seat of my pants when I was a youngster. I'll tell you that much. I do remember a few times where I missed the old flight that I bought on, Expedia or something like that with 0 refunds and all that sort of stuff. I've definitely learned my lesson the hard way a few times there, but neither here nor there. So what do you do? Here's what you do. You take your frame of reference, your point of view. You look at your situation. You say, oh, man, okay, well, bummer. Now a couple more days out from getting down to sunny Florida, the great state, the sunshine state, mighty sparrow, get out on the Atlantic, all that sort of fun stuff. Well, what can we do here? And kind of looking around, I was like, wow, we got actually a clear sky tonight. Now, I don't know for how long, caveat. There does seem to be some cloud cover coming in from the west. But right now, we got blue sky. It is approximately 8 p.m. It's still light out, but the sun has set. I am in the woods. I don't know if you can hear the crackle of the fire, but I got a beast going because it's frickin' freezing, and winter has not left northern Michigan, I'll tell you that much. Got a few crispy beers, not the traditional BLs. Decided to, shake things up, maybe, what do they say when you go into the gym? If you're always doing the exact same thing, you plateau. I don't know, kind of plateaued a little bit on the old BLs, at least for right now. Don't get me wrong. I'm a BL guy, but I picked up some Heineken Silvers, which are 2.9 grams of carbs, 95 cals, and they're actually pretty tasty. A good buddy of mine actually was big on the Heinekens. John Glenn, friend of the show. He was always about the greenies, as he always called them. But yeah, so I don't know. I was kind of mulling around, and I didn't really know exactly what to do and everything like that. And then I'm kind of looking outside, and I'm like, man, dude, turn the TV off. Let's go out to the woods. Let's just get a little evening of nature. Let's build a big fire because it is still pretty cold. I'm approximately 6 feet away from this, and I'm feeling major warmth. My toes are tingling with warmth. It's great. I do have a ski suit on, I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to have to stir this fire periodically through the podcast. So hopefully everybody can can deal with that one. But yeah, I kind of figured, well, hey, this could be pretty cool. It's always a really interesting kind of transformation this time of year in the winter where the entire forest is all winter dead trees. So it's just, the skeletal sticks. There's no leaves, there's no canopy, none of that sort of stuff. So you get the sky, and there has been quite a few fireballs and big chunks of 3-eye Atlas flying into our atmosphere all of a sudden. So we're in its trail, so we might get lucky tonight. But I'm hoping for some pretty epic stars and maybe do a little constellation talk as well. But more than anything, it's really the transition from day to night in the woods. There's only, I don't know, maybe 1 inch, 2 inches of snow on the ground, and it's not even full coverage anymore. It took literally 3 days of 40-degree temperatures to destroy our 2-foot ground cover that has been here since, I don't know, December sometime. I think we've had one thaw sometime in December, and then after that, it was just full-blown winter. Like, it's beautiful. It's a glacial event. Like, felt like a child again up here. Northern Michigan, grew up here, and every winter was just by Thanksgiving it's snowing. Sometimes it snowed at Halloween, and sometimes you get snow in May, but the winters, December, January, February, brutal into March. You start to see a little ray of sunshine, and I don't know, I've spent so much time up here this year that I kind of feel like I've gone through the whole winter, which is kind of why I wanted to get out, because I'm going a little stir crazy up here, folks. Getting a little of that all work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy. A little Shining action, if you will. And I was very much looking forward to my escape down to the great state of Florida and the sunny, warm, tropical breezes that would blow Sparrow straight offshore out into the Atlantic. But, like I said, hey, it's all about perspective. Oh, one of the old solar lights just came on up here at JeromesTown. I kept those up this year. Normally I do this full pack down of this place, and obviously the tents, and I guess the little scenery description would probably be, I guess before we go any further, if you want to support the show, check out the links in the description, blah, blah, blah. It's awesome. Everybody that helps keeps the show going. Thank you all so much. Patreon family. Woohoo! Joseph, new mic. Thank you, brother. You are the best. And everybody who just hooks it up, I can't thank you all enough. The support is absolutely insane. And we will get it back on the water. And we're going to do a bunch of shows out there. it's just been wintertime in northern Michigan. It's hard to produce a lot of content, but we do have a couple of good shows coming up, and I believe we have worked out all the kinks in the system and should be good to go for the virtual stuff as well. So hopefully we're going to be providing everybody, all the listeners, with better audio and continued conversations with cool people. So, and if you want to reach out to the show, sailingintoOblivion.com, and you can just email me right through that. Okay, cool. So, description. Yeah, so JeromesTown is kind of dead right now, if you will. It's winter. I left a big pile of wood out here because I knew I was going to be up here this year, and because of the ice storm of April 2025, there's more lumber than anybody knows what to do with in northern Michigan. I look around the woods right now, and it's just a smattering of down trees, sticks. It's like a tinderbox, folks. If it wasn't so wet and snowy, I'd be a little worried about this fire, but I am definitely not, because there's no way. There's just no way. But I have, my two platforms. They've got a nice little dusting. The skeletons of the tents are still up and standing, as they have been since 2018. Remember, this little area here. It was sort of this, I don't know. It was just a little camp spot, that I would come up to, and I would camp if I really needed just to spend the night in the woods. And then I went on the trip around the world and, sort of dreaming up this lovely woodland area, aka JeromesTown, that I would be able to hunker down in, at least for the summer. That was the idea. Not a huge future plan. Well, that was 2018 was the first summer. Cut to 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. 23, 24, 25. Yeah, so that's 8 years. I don't know if we did it every single year, but essentially, just come out here, I throw the old canvas over the skeletons of these two tents on these two platforms, and I got a nice little wood-chipped area, rocked with these old field stones. The property up here used to be old farming fields, and so there were a bunch of big old rock piles everywhere, and all glacial, which is pretty neat. Think about a lot of the hills and the lakes and all that sort of stuff that's up here. It's, relatively in the geological scale, it's a blink of an eye. This stuff is brand spanking new, and we do have quite a few of these little rocks and stuff. So I took it upon myself many years ago when I was a teenager to grab as many of these rocks, and at the first tent spot, go and rock the path, line the path and the little, boundary and everything with these rocks. And then when we ended up moving the place up here, I then loaded up, instead of a wheelbarrow this time, the Kubota tractor, which was nice, with all these rocks, and brought them up here. So these rocks have been moved by glaciers, and they've been moved by Jerome. Twice, actually, by Jerome, which is kind of a fool's errand, but it looks really cool, especially when you put the new wood chips down. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. But yeah. And there's a couple tiki torches. I was a little lazy this year, I'm not going to lie. Normally I take those in, put them in the old garage, but I did not do that. So these are all still up. They're not lit up because I don't have any tiki fluid, but that's okay. I don't need the extra ambiance. I actually want a little more dimmed down darkness if possible, but yeah, that's kind of it. So we're, the trees around here are about 67 feet, 70 feet tall. It's lovely. But there's this, I'm always reminded, anytime I am in a winter dead forest, I am always reminded of the Appalachian Trail. The beginning month, March into April, doing Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee. Not until I think Shenandoah did we really start to see the greening in the valleys. I'll never forget the tie-dyed hillsides, the tie-dyed mountains of the Shenandoah, where it was green down low in the valleys, but then as you went up and up and up, it changed back into winter dead. And I don't know, it's kind of a special feel. You know, I guess if I had to describe it in one word, it would probably be potential. You know, there's a potential for the total transformation of this forest into just one of the most beautiful, welcoming, lovely areas possible. I mean, you know, you get that big, thick canopy, come up here in the middle of the day, take a nap ski if you want. God, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And your entertainment is a nice, warm orange glow of a fire. Maybe a little music in the background. Sometimes I like to throw a little Lord of the Rings ambiance on the old stereo out here. Low volume, barely can hear it, but it still gives you that feel. A little Samwise Gamgee, a little Froto. Oh, I did not turn my ringer off. That's not good. Oh, there we go. Okay. Speak of the devil, that was Joseph sending the old message. I might take a little break and actually answer him really quickly because I am speaking into the microphone that he got for the show. Whew. That's still such an epic present. It's such a sick mic, everybody. It's so freaking sick. But yeah, so we're going to take a little pause. I'm going to stir the fire, get that sucker revved up because my tush is getting a little cold. And then we're going to jump back in as our light drops and drops. I do not see the first star. Oh, I do. Jupiter straight ahead. Oh, yeah, baby. We're going to get into it tonight. Can't wait. All right. Pausing there. Okay. And we're back, I think. Hopefully this podcast recorder can handle the temperatures out here. Woo! You can hear that fire. Oh, gosh. Oh. All right. Got to get situated. Oh. I'm breaking through the ice and clinking down into the cedar wood chips that line this beautiful forest floor. Well, we've got our first glimmering, beautiful spots in the sky. Now, the first and foremost thing, outside of the moon and the sun, obviously, that we ever really see, if it's in the kind of right position, is Jupiter. Jupiter's almost always going to be the first star, the first bright thing you see in the sky. The first star I see tonight, if I might, because it's super duper bright. Venus is obviously a little bit brighter because it just is. But essentially Venus, because the orbital path of Venus is closer to the sun than ours, you're only ever going to really see it either just before the sunrise or just after the sunset. And Jupiter being much further out, like millions of miles out there, Jupiter's pretty much one of those that you start to see through, it's going to be 90 to 180 degrees away from the sun. So once the sun sets, you look straight up in the sky, and typically that's where you're going to see it. That's where I see it right now. And then it's actually linked up with one of the brightest stars, or the brightest star that we see in our sky, which is Sirius. Some people, I think, pronounce it Sirius, but I believe it's Sirius. And that one's super duper bright, followed by, and that's actually like an actual star, followed by, what's the other one? There's Sirius, that one's super bright, and then the twinkling star. I'm forgetting it right now, but that's okay. But the other one that we can already see tonight, which is very, very easy to mistake for Mars, is Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse lies in Orion. It's a super, red giant on the in its death rattle. It fluctuates in its brightness and all that sort of stuff, but it's the one star that if we are lucky enough in our little lifespans to see, quite possibly could go supernova, which would be ridiculous. We'd probably be able to see it during the day. Question about your compass. Ooh. I'll have to... Joseph's still hitting me up on the old phone. I'm going to have to hit him up in a little bit, but we're finally getting dark here. Fire. Can you hear the crackle? Ooh, I can feel the heat. I had to thaw out the old bumski for a little bit there, as I was sitting on a pretty wet chair. Not the best thing when it's this cold outside, but right now, I'll tell you what, I've moved my position to 5 feet from the fire, and I am roasting warm. Oh, this is so nice. And, you got to love the fact that you can set your beer down in the snow, and it's only going to get colder. You actually have to kind of watch out because it might freeze. Jupiter. And then, the cool thing about Jupiter, too, is that if you have a decent pair of binoculars and you eyeball that sucker up there, you can actually see some of its moons. I think 4 of its moons are pretty darn visible. Hard part is, having a steady hand so that you can really hone in on it. But if you look at it through a telescope, even a small telescope, man, oh man, you get a beautiful show. As well as Saturn. You can see the rings on Saturn just through a normal everyday telescope. So it's pretty fascinating. But Saturn's one of those that you've got to know exactly where and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't stick out like sore thumb like Jupiter does. But even in the half light that we have right now, we've got, let's see, and I'm trying to keep my face towards the mic as I scan the skies. We've got Jupiter, we've got Sirius, we've got Betelgeuse. I think that's all we've got right now. Those suckers are super duper bright. And then we've got the lovely aqua dim turquoise blue of the forest as the wavering rays of the sun disappear into the sky. Boy, it is beautiful. And I tell you, I'm 47. I'm 47 years old, and I have been looking up at these darn stars since I was a kid. And I still never get sick of it, I'll tell you. I mean, that's one of my favorite things out at sea, is to just be out there. And I was thinking about it actually today, because obviously the moon is a sailor's best friend. It lights up the night. It exposes all of the squalls and adverse weather and all that sort of stuff, and it's helped me out more times than I can even remember. Most notably, I will never forget being in the doldrums like 3 days in on that trip around the world, and it was more days than that, I think. I think I had been in there for like 6 days or something, but that wall, I've never seen a wall of cumulonimbus come at me like that. It was just remarkable. And because it was pretty much a full moon, I was working on the boat. It was like 2 a.m. or something, and saw it start making its way. Oh my goodness. I was so glad, because those are the kind of squalls that you get caught on a dark night where you can't see anything. It's as black as obsidian, just absolute darkness, and those things come right out at you. And if you don't have a radar or anything like that, you're pretty much done, because there wasn't any lightning or anything like that. It was just a wall of rain and wind, and I could just see it coming from miles away. I mean, I was working on the gooseneck trying to shore that thing up. And meanwhile, I see this wall coming at me, and I'm going, I guess my work here is done. And that was the same one where I did not put the hydro blade for my wind vane all the way down, and it popped up, and I ended up hand steering for hours in the pelting rain in a pair of boxer shorts. That was a tough lesson learned, folks. I'll tell you that. That was not a fun lesson to learn, but boy, is a valuable one, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I think about all those nights just laying out on deck, just looking up at those stars. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, just absolutely amazing. And utilizing them too. I mean, if the stars are out, the compass light is not on. There's just no reason. I mean,
Every day, the world gets a little weirder and a lot more awesome. Cool Stuff Daily takes a look at everything from mining in space to the latest in the fight against cancer to how AI is, basically changing everything. It's all the cool stuff you didn't know you needed to know. Join us for Cool Stuff Daily as we take a quick look at science, tech, and the wait, what stories that make you sound way smarter at dinner. Subscribe to Cool Stuff Daily now, because the future's happening fast, and it's way too fun to miss.
my cockpit has 0 screens, and there's just no light in there. If I'm way offshore, truth be told, I don't even have my nav lights on, and I'm just out there. I'll even go down and dim out completely the AIS and everything. I keep the AIS on, but I dim the backlight off so that there's pretty much next to no light pollution coming from Mighty Sparrow. And the performance of the stars in the sky out there is just absolutely mind-boggling. It's so amazingly beautiful. I can think of quite a few examples of when it was like tip-top, never to be beaten. But I must say, up here in northern Michigan, dead of winter, we sure as heck get a pretty good show. Sometimes we get the northern lights too, which is pretty cool. But to circle back, what I was thinking the other day, walking the old driveway, was what is my favorite phase of the moon? Because the moon kind of dictates all of it. Obviously, starry nights out at sea are unbelievable. They're beautiful. The moon comes out. It's wonderful. It's reassuring. It's a great feeling. It's great to have that. It changes the mood. Night kind of turns into day and all that sort of stuff. But I think my favorite time is when you have the moon about 4 or 5 days past the full moon. So essentially what's going to happen is it's going to get dark, and then you're going to have about 2 hours or so without the moon. And so you get the huge blast, the showcase of all the stars and the constellations, and everything's just super bright. It's beautiful. It's like dark, and it's awesome. And then you get that just off in the distance, just over the horizon, that little bit of a glow. And you're always kind of looking for it. You're eyeballing, being like, ooh, I think that's where it's coming. That's where it's coming. And it takes a while. But slowly but surely, that sucker starts to get brighter and brighter. And then, boom, the second an edge of that moon crests over that horizon. If you don't have any clouds, it's absolutely amazing. And it's a total game changer. Because you know how the moon, when it's on the horizon, it looks much bigger than it does when it's up above. It's also much more like reddish and orange. And then as it goes higher and higher, it goes to white. And it's just, again, it's this neat like transformation and sort of a game changer out there as far as the vibe and, I don't know, just the attitude of everything, if you will. And I think that's my favorite because you get this little bit of star action just at nightfall after dinner and all that, and that's cool. But then just about the time you're starting to be like, I'm getting a little tired, the moon comes up, and that's a little exciting. That keeps you up for another hour or so. And then because you've got your best friend up there, you have that reassurance, and now you can go to sleep. And you can sleep a little bit deeper because you know that you've seen the sky, you know what's coming, you know there's nothing up there. And you know, every time you wake up, every hour or two, you can just pop up real quick. You'll be able to see everything. There's no mystery. I wear contacts, so on those dark nights, I get up usually every hour, and all I'm doing is popping up into the companionway and checking things. But, if I'm scrubbing my eyes trying to even read the AIS screen, and then I'm going up there and trying to scan the sky, and, now the only backdrop I have are the stars. It can be pretty easy to overlook a couple of squall clouds and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think that's one of my faves for sure. Oh, they're starting to come out. The speckles are just about everywhere now. It's absolutely captivating. It's nice in the woods, but there is something so different about it out at sea. I think it's just the unbroken horizon. That's all it is, I can remember a couple instances, most specifically in the doldrums, when the sea is just flat, everything's just calm, barely any swell, not a breath of wind, so the ocean is reflective, and you're looking out, and you're looking up, and you're looking down, and you're just seeing the speckle of all these stars. Man, it's like the closest thing I think you could ever find to actually being like an astronaut floating around in space. I'll go and stand up on the bowsprit. You can't even see sparrow. And I'm just looking in front of me, and there's just enough motion to know that you're moving, but not enough motion to make you feel sort of out of whack. And above you are stars, and below you are stars, and you can't really see the horizon at all. And so they kind of meld together. And I've only seen that a couple of times out there. And when I do get to see it, though, I'll tell you what, those are the all-nighters. Those are the nights you don't dare. You amp up on the coffee, and you keep that stuff rolling so that you can stay up as late as humanly possible, not only for that view and that experience, but also that, you're in a part of the world where it's going to be like 95 degrees during the day, and the sun, as soon as it comes up, it is your mortal enemy. You're just like, no, blistering, and you're like sunburnt. Oh Lord, it's the balance, the absolute balancing act. All right, let me take a little pause here to stir the fire. We will return. All right, and we are back. Woo, the fire is blazing. Now it's getting dark, everybody. It is getting real dark. Had a little combo with my man Joseph down there in Chicago, trying to get everything sorted out for the upcoming sailing season. Oh, man. Tell you, the winter comes and the winter goes, and then springtime just rolls in. And man, oh, man, everybody's trying to launch their boats exact same time. So now we got a plethora of stars up there. We got more than I can count. So it's going to be a little hard for me to narrow in on any of them, but they are absolutely amazing. A little bit blanketed by the skeletal trees for sure. But I got the North Star and the Big Dipper up there pointing my way to the north. It is such a cool aspect of Polaris, the North Star. You take the end of the actual pan part of the frying pan of the Big Dipper and line those two stars up, and they just basically point right towards it. The whole sky rotates around it. It's super cool. Man, oh man. Oh, we got Orion, we got Gemini, or Gemini, if you will. Jupiter. I'm sure Mars is up there somewhere. Right now, though, I got a bunch of ash and little embers flying all over the place. We have like almost, I would say the wind right now is blowing at 0.5 knots. So it is a perfect night to do a wintertime bonfire because that heat ain't going anywhere. Ooh, I think I just heard the first yelp of a coyote. Whew. Tell you, the last handful of nights, oh no, that's just a dog. The last handful of nights, the coyotes, big pack of them, I could hear them. I'm in the house, windows, doors closed, and they woke me up. They were so loud. Must have had a fresh kill, something like that. I don't know what they were doing, but it sounded like there were 50,000 of them out here. And you can, if you're bothered by it, which I really wasn't. It's kind of a neat. It's almost reminiscent of when you hear whales out on the ocean, but you can just stick your head out of the window and scream at them, and they will literally quiet all down. It's pretty funny. It's like being in New York City, like, shut up! And all of a sudden, like the whole night goes silent from like yelping and just whooping and wallering. It's pretty crazy. Oh, Ryan, you beast. Still my favorite constellation. We got definitely got a little satellite up there too. Man. Oh, I'm so glad I did this. What better way to spend a layover than being able to be out in the woods one more time with a nice big old fire. Couple of beers, podcast, new mic. Man, it just doesn't get much better. This is like a full turnaround. I mean, I have to say I was a little disappointed because I was hoping that this was going to be a podcast from the Mighty Sparrow, talking about the plans and everything going forward and the sailing and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes in life you just got to take what you get and you got to make the best out of it. And I think that's one of the cool parts. I know I talk a lot about perspective and how your perspective on any situation, especially ones that are not so great, is nice because you can rotate it around. You can move it. You can change the angle. You can look at things differently. But also just your attitude. You can sort of choose whether or not you're going to piss and moan about some situation that's not the way you wanted it to go, or you can figure out a way to make the best out of it and enjoy the time. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I wish this was something that was consistent in my life, because I definitely don't do that all the time. Oh, there's an airplane. I wonder why that airplane's going. Funny. How interesting. I don't know if you can pick that up on the mic, but there's a nice little airliner going overhead. I wonder where they're headed from. Probably Alpena, or might be a transatlantic headed down to Chicago or Minneapolis. Ooh, we got sparks flying over here, people. This is pretty crazy. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Now that it's dark and I can see, so I have a bit of a collection of those little pathway lights, the little solar jobbies that you get, Home Depot, wherever. The collection has gotten a little ridiculous up here at JeromesTown. And once again, instead of this year packing it all down, I kind of just left it. And I'm looking out, and I can't even count how many there are out here. But they look really cool because they're all illuminating the soft white snow on the ground instead of just the dark, dusty leaves that they normally illuminate. But it is a bit ridiculous, I'm not going to lie. It's a little over the top. Oh, well. Oh, Jupiter is still just the shining beacon of light up there. Man, it is beautiful. These stars. Oh, if you've never seen them, if you've never seen a dark sky, I'll tell you, it's worth the trip to wherever the heck you got to go to get far enough away from the ambient lights. Jeez Louise, getting attacked over here. To get to a point where you can see a really good, I've always kind of based it on, can you see the Milky Way? Is the Milky Way fully visible, a big old strip of white in the sky that is so obvious you know exactly what you're looking at, that's when you know you've got a dark sky, and that's when you know you've got something special. Boy, it is beautiful. Wow. Just going to take a little moment here. Take it in. Wow. I don't know if they'll ever, though. I don't think I'll ever beat out the Indian Ocean after Tropical Cyclone Irving. That was just such an odd occurrence, and it was so insanely perfect timing. A atmospheric event. You know, the cyclone sucked all the moisture out of the atmosphere, and then something else happened, which basically clipped, I don't know, something. My brother Sven told me about it. He said there was some sort of weird thing that basically shaved off a chunk of our ionosphere or something. I don't even know what it was, but it was some sort of crazy coincidence of three things. One, the cyclone just passed. Two, there was no moon. Three, something was happening up in the upper atmosphere, and those stars were so bright, so beyond insanely bright. And one of the coolest parts is that because I was in the southern hemisphere, it was kind of that foreign sky. I mean, I had been down there for almost 2 months at that point, so it was pretty normal to me. But, they got the big magnetic cloud, and they've got all these different sort of constellations and stuff, and the Southern Cross, obviously. But I just remember being just shocked at how I was going to go to bed, and I was like, man, these stars they seem so bright. And the more I looked at them and the more I thought, I was looking at my deck on the boat, and it was lit up, and it was just lit up by the stars. Absolutely amazing. I don't think I'll ever, if I never see the stars brighter than that, no big deal. Although I would like to see them even brighter than that. I think that would be pretty cool. I have heard that if you get a chance to go to the observatory in Hawaii, you're up so high, you get such an insane star experience that it's like life-changing. But I don't know. Seen them down in New Zealand. There was a time my brother, my cousin, and I were down there, and we saw the stars camped out by this lake that were just absolutely unreal. But still, nothing will ever compare to that January in the Indian Ocean. Man, oh man, that was nuts. Woo-wee. Oh, the old, I'm seeing the old Seven Sisters over there, the cluster. Those bright blue young stars burning super hot. A cluster of actually like 9 or so. Seven Sisters is always a pretty cool one, also known as the Pleiades. Very, very neat. You see a big blob up there. Well, a tiny blob, but a bright blob. And they're usually over there close to Orion. Actually, the sort of mythology goes that, Orion, the hunter, was not just a hunter of animals, but also of the ladies. And his punishment for some of his boastfulness and his cavalier attitude was that he was banished permanently in the sky following the Pleiades, which are the Seven Sisters, a bunch of ladies, and he's always following them, and never, ever will he catch them. Ha, 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 burn. Oh, man. Well, I think outside of, unfortunately, I can't get too far away from the fire because I'm pretty sure all this podcast stuff will kind of freeze up on me. And I feel like I have kind of blathered on long enough for a campfire sort of experience. Maybe, who knows, tomorrow we might do the same thing. I don't even know. Maybe we'll tell war stories from the ocean. Hopefully I've got Shell back on the podcast tomorrow to talk about some of the dangers and how to prevent them when you're out there solo sailing or sailing with crew. Things like getting hit in the head with the boom and things that help prevent such such circumstances from happening. We're going to get into some of that sort of stuff. I'm very much looking forward to that. Passages from the Heart podcast. She's doing great with that one. I love some of the guests she has on there. And it's always fun to join her for another podcast. So that one should be pretty good. And we're gonna eventually make our way down to Old Mighty Sparrow, and that's when the sailing content comes back into play. We're gonna hopefully get some more videos and all that sort of stuff. Get those uploaded on Patreon. And remember, all the people. We're always uploading these ad-free on Patreon for people who don't want to have to listen to all the ads and all that sort of stuff that come along with these shows now, because that's just the way we have to do it. But other than that, thank you all so much for listening, and hopefully, if anything, if you find yourself kind of in the doldrums, so to speak, of the winter, know that it's coming to a close soon, so take in those moments, those little joys wherever you can, because pretty soon it's going to be bright, sunshiny days, and we'll be out there on the water. Thanks for listening, and until next time.
This is Mike Bolo of Lexicon Valley.
And I'm Bob Garfield. Are you one of those people who sometimes uses words?
Do you communicate or acquire information with, language?
Hey, us too. So join us on Lexicon Valley to chew over the history, culture, and many mysteries of English, plus some wisecracks.
Find us on one of those apps where people listen to podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.